Do you struggle with loving yourself unconditionally? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 tips to enhance your feelings of self-love so that you can live in a greater space of compassion and fulfillment. A lot of times, the reasons we feel out of touch with loving ourselves unconditionally is because we have thought patterns and beliefs that remove us from our sense of true self-love. The tips that I share in this video should give you greater clarity and awareness around the beliefs that you have and also help you reshape them so that you can feel better about yourself. Just as a loving disclaimer, this is not intended to be medical advice or therapeutic advice, so if you do have a psychological condition or something that needs professional treatment, please do seek professional advice. All of this information is intended to be educational for you so that you can develop more self-love. My first self-love tip for you is to start adopting a meditation practice. By meditating every day, or at least on a regular basis, it allows you a space to step outside of your feelings and your thoughts so that you can develop more calm and more clarity in your life. Now, if meditation sounds a little bit intimidating to you, you can just try to take some conscious breaths and just count them in and out. So you can just take 1 breath in and then count to 2 on the out breath. And then you can do that up to 10, and you can even repeat that a few times. The purpose of this is so that, again, you can step outside of your mental thought patterns, which contain some of the beliefs that may not be true and may be contributing to you feeling that you don't have that sense of loving yourself unconditionally. So it will give you a little bit more perspective so that you can tune in to a greater space of calm, clarity, and compassion. One of my favorite apps to use to establish a meditation practice is the Headspace app. The reason I love this app is because the creator of Headspace was previously a Buddhist monk. He has a lot of experience and so much wisdom and clarity, and they're guided meditations, so they're soothing to listen to, and he gives a little bit of context at the beginning and at the end of each meditation so that you can also start to incorporate that mindset and that clarity and bring it into your day. By the way, if you're new here, my name is Alana Vera, and this is Ascending with Alana. On this channel, I help you rediscover your inner light through creativity, plant foods, and emotional wellness. So if that resonates with you, consider subscribing. My second tip for self-love and learning how to love yourself unconditionally is to start learning the internal family systems method. Now, this method is a really transformational approach to the mind and to emotions, and my personal favorite. I actually have done a lot of inner work on myself. I've used a lot of different methods, and this one stands out to me. My first recommendation for learning more about it is to pick up a book called Self-Therapy by Jay Earley. Now, this book I will link in the description below. You can go to my affiliate link there. The internal family systems method was developed by a therapist named Richard Schwartz, and he has opened up this method also to other practitioners as well, including coaches. And it is a method I also use in my self-love coaching practice. The internal family systems method is a perspective that looks at the mind as being multiple. Now, you might be wondering what I mean by that. We all have multiple personalities within ourselves. And I know that sounds a little bit crazy. I'm not saying that we all have multiple personality disorder, but we all do have multiple personalities within us that have different agendas and different goals and want to protect us in different ways, or may want to help us connect with others, or may want to give us more time to ourselves. So many times we can find ourselves with inner conflict, and some of our parts have developed different beliefs at different ages, and their perspective hasn't been updated to our adult self. And when we learn what these parts are trying to do and their true intent, because all of our parts have positive, loving intent for us, we can start to develop more self-compassion for ourselves. So let me give you an example. A lot of us have an inner critic, and this inner critic can be really harsh on ourselves. This inner critic can take over and start to berate us and beat us up. When we start to take a step back. Using meditation, for example, can help us tap into that calm and clear space that's disconnected a little bit from that piece. And when we take that step back and start to even dialogue a little bit with this part of us, what we can find is that these parts are oftentimes trying to protect us from situations or people that might judge us harshly, or they might just be trying to keep our job, or they might be trying to do all kinds of things that are very well intended, but the outcome is quite negative. Maybe it is draining our energy or making us feel like we aren't worthy. And so what we need to do then is work with that part and allow it to update itself and update the entire system as we work with that part, and then peel back some of those layers to find out what's underneath. And oftentimes there's a vulnerable part underneath there that is maybe very young and has actually a lot of gifts and creative value and all kinds of things to share. And when we start to have a little bit more balance between all of our parts, they're a little bit more subtle, they don't stand out as strongly, and we can also just have that greater sense of compassion and clarity with our entire inner system so that we can feel grounded and healthy and compassionate towards ourselves. There is a little bit of a learning curve to this method, so I highly recommend working with a practitioner that uses this method, or to work with a therapist even if you have some deeper traumas and wounds that you need to work through. The IFS Institute has a website, and I will link their website in the description below, where you can find a directory of therapists to work with. I also use this method in my coaching practice. So if you are struggling with self-love, where you are having a specific goal, maybe you want to establish a morning routine, or you're trying to incorporate more of the foods that make you feel really good and light you up, and you are struggling with that, you're hitting a wall and you're finding yourself blocked, I can absolutely work with you to help you uncover those blocks so that you can release that and start to feel more fulfilled and happy in your life. If you are interested in working with me, you can visit my website, ascendingwithalana.com, which I will include in the link below, and you can check out my self-love coaching program that I have there. And last, but most certainly not least, is practicing affirmations. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been wearing affirmations. This is one of my pieces of clothing that I have on my Redbubble store, but affirmations are probably the simplest out of all three of these methods to use when you're just getting started. Many of us have limiting beliefs that say things like, I am not worthy, or I am not deserving of love. And what we want to do, the best thing to do, is to find the belief that you have that is working against you and create an affirmation that is the opposite. That way you can tackle that specific belief and start to uncover your true belief, which is more aligned with what you want and the feelings you want to create. I do recommend, if you can, use this alongside other methods. For example, the internal family systems method is really helpful to use these together, because as you practice affirmations, you may find yourself hitting resistance or feeling a little bit stuck because maybe some part of you really truly doesn't believe it, and there's something that needs to be explored or shared from this part of you that you may want to take a pause and do some of that inner work and then come back to those affirmations. But if you're just getting started, this is a great way. It's simple, there's not much of a learning curve to it. And again, I do recommend, if you want to do some of that deeper inner work, to really look into the internal family systems method, and do check out my coaching program as well, and we can explore if we are a good fit together. There are a couple of different ways that you can practice affirmations. One of them is simply just saying them out loud. You can also find a variety of different affirmations to listen to so that you can just listen to them maybe in your sleep. That's something that I love to do. And you can also listen to them while you're doing other things, maybe taking a shower or doing chores, and you can just continue to hear those positive words as if it's someone else just speaking them to you. And this is really nice because a lot of times our beliefs that don't really serve us did come from the outside in some way, shape, or form, even if it was indirect. And the message was that we received was, I am not worthy, or I am not good enough, or something of that nature. And as we start to listen to these words and they're just continually feeding our mind and our spirit, then we start to attune ourselves to these beliefs and we start to really go, I wonder why I am good enough. I wonder why. And when we start asking those empowering questions, then we start to really take in the positive belief and the positive affirmation. So those are my 3 tips for creating more self-love and learning how to love yourself more unconditionally. And I hope that gives you a little bit more hope and insight as to how you might find the answers to loving yourself more unconditionally, because I know it can be such a struggle to go through that. I know what it's like to really not believe that I am deserving of love and happiness and joy, but we all are deserving of these things, and there is an abundance of love in the universe for us to enjoy. And so there's no reason why you shouldn't also be able to enjoy and love yourself. Thank you again for watching. My name is Alana Vera. This is Ascending with Alana, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye. By the way, if you'd like to create more of an uplifting environment around you, you can purchase any of my affirmation artwork on my Redbubble store. There you can find my positive affirmations available on t-shirts, pillows, notebooks, and so many more items so that you can start to subconsciously change your beliefs with your environment.